What's up, everyone? Welcome to the latest episode of the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Sunday Lawn Care. Listen, guys, I don't know anything about gardening. Nothing at all. I don't know anything about chemicals, about plants. I just know that they look nice and I want them to be healthy. And the last thing anyone needs is another complicated and toxic lawn product. Sunday is here. It's more than a lawn care product. It's a customized lawn plan that works with nature. They take out all the guesswork, take out all the unwanted chemicals, so you can have a beautiful lawn that's better for people, pets, and the planet. You know how like they have those skincare regimens where you speak with a professional and they customize it for you? This is like that for your house, right? So basically, I haven't gotten it yet in the mail, but I've filled out the thing. I went to the website, getsunday.com/tire, and I put in my address of my new house because my old house has no lawn. My new house has a lawn. I put in the address, and they use satellite imagery to estimate the square footage of my property and then the square footage of the lawn on that property versus just the house. And they got my address right. They got my square footage of my property pretty much right, within about 25 square feet. And they then are like, oh, well, you're in this area, so you have these types of soil and this types of nutrients here. And here's the regimen that you need for this lawn. And here's how much you need for the lawn of your size.
Pretty cool tech.
I've never taken care of any lawn. Ever.
Me neither.
So I have no idea what to do. But I imagine that once I've gone to getsunday.com and put in my home address and done all that, they take care of the rest. So they use soil and climate data to create a tailored nutrient plan so you get all the stuff your lawn needs and nothing it doesn't. It's made with ingredients you can actually pronounce, like seaweed, iron, and molasses, so you can grow better and feel better about it. Sunday explains exactly what you get and why you're getting it. Everything's sent straight to your door right when you need it. Just attach the ready-to-use pouch to a garden hose and spray away. Don't let lawn care take up your whole day. It's going to take like 15 minutes with an average-sized lawn. All you got to do, let Sunday take the guesswork out of growing a greener, more beautiful lawn this spring. Visit getsunday.com/tire to get $20 off your custom lawn plan at checkout. $20 off a custom plan at getsunday.com/tire. We are also brought to you by Off the Record. Don't get caught out in the system. The system isn't there to make roads safer. The system is there to generate revenue at your expense. Should you get in trouble if you're tripling the speed limit? Maybe so. But that's not what speeding fines and other small moving violations are really about. It's about generating revenue. offtherecord.com/TST is here to help. They will match you with a qualified attorney in any state in the union that will help you fight those tickets, beat the system, and get those points off your record. Because it's not just about the fine, right? Oh, I pled guilty. I did the thing. I'm going to pay my $200 fine. That then goes to your insurance company. Your premiums can go up for years, and it's all part of a system to extract money from you into the speeding police insurance industrial complex. They offtherecord.com/TST or code TST10 on the Off the Record app. What you do, you make the account now, you bank it, your discount is good until 2023. It's good for a really long time. That way, when you're stuck on the side of the road, like my friend David Patterson, that dude in blue, you call Off the Record. They're right there for you. You can stay calm and you don't even have to show up. They just show up for you. They do everything for you. You don't have to do anything. You just tell them about the ticket. You snap a photo of it, upload into their thing. It's super, super easy. And then you don't ever have to think about it again. Offtherecord.com/TST or download the app, iOS and Android, and use code TST10. The code is good for literally like 2.5 more years. So get it now, hang on to it, and then it'll be there when you need it on the side of the road with lights flashing in the rear view. Offtherecord.com/TST or code TST10 on the Off the Record app. Last but certainly not least, we are brought to you by Tradecraft Farms, the official THC, CBD, smokables, edibles, and vapables provider of the Smoking Tire podcast. This is a delightful brand made of delightful, enthusiastic folks who grow the most fabulous ganja you can ever imagine. And they have all kinds of delicious products that are made in ethical ways by very nice people. I've seen their factory. They employ lots of Angelinos in their enterprises, and we support them. They support us. All you got to do, I'm not saying you got to go buy anything. Don't buy anything. Doesn't matter. Buy a thing, don't buy a thing. Seek them out at your local dispensary if you're in a legal state. But Tradecraft_Farms on Instagram. Give them a follow. Give them a comment. Tell them the Smoking Tire sent you. Make us look good, folks. Let's keep this train rolling. Tradecraft_Farms. We have an announcement coming soon that'll be very exciting collab product with Tradecraft Farms. As if this can't get any sillier and more fun. You know what I'm saying? All right. On this episode of the Smoking Tire podcast, Freddy Tavarish Hernandez is in the building. No, he's not. He's calling in from Florida, as you do when you are in Florida. He is, needs very little introduction. Car Trek by Auto Tempest. It's a huge deal. He's got his McLaren project. I mean, rebuilding a trashed McLaren is a venture I don't think any of us really want to do ourselves, but I'm happy to watch him suffer through it for my own entertainment. Freddy Tavarish Hernandez is on the Smoking Tire podcast. Freddy, l'chaim. Nice to see you, sir.
I have an empty water bottle here, so l'chaim.
It's bad luck to cheers the empty water bottle.
So times are lean then.
There's a little in there. Okay,
there you go. Thanks. Thank you very
better.
much.
Yeah, it's better. Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. How you been, man?
I'm good. I spent all morning driving a Chiron, so I can't complain about much. It was rowdy
Had a
as
bad
fuck.
day, right?
No, but you got to start your McLaren, which I saw on Instagram, which I was very excited to see.
Mm-hmm.
What is the level of satisfaction with that project right now? Because last time I talked to you, you were like, oh, this is going to be a pain in the ass.
So it's a lot of that, and on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like the most excited I've ever been, it's probably a 13. So wow. This car is so insane. First of all, I'm extremely impressed of like how much is working with so much missing, but it's really
dual
funny.
zone climate control doesn't actually require a dashboard or a body.
It turns out launch control doesn't either.
I saw a video on Instagram, and Zach was just playing it. But I think it looks like, or it sounds like that was Jared filming that. And at the very tail end of that video, there's a puff of smoke, and he goes, "Oh!" And so, what actually happens at the end of that video? Is it okay?
So it's hilarious. So it was my first drive around the parking lot of my shop, and we're driving around. It's totally fine. I go into like the first 3 gears, and everything's fine. Everything's good. It sounds great. It's not leaking anything. It's not overheating. And then I go, let me try a launch control because everything should be working. So we try a launch control, and it's very fast. I don't know if you've ever driven. I mean, you've driven a 675 LT, but
yes, I have. It's very
anybody
fast.
else who hasn't driven like a 675 or some like special McLaren, they are like stupid fast.
Yeah,
so,
I used to tell people a lot that they're like, "What is the difference between a 570S and a 720S?" And I go, "Have you ever been in a McLaren?" And they go, "No." And I go, "It doesn't matter which one you're in. Any one you get in is the fastest thing you'll ever be in."
Yeah.
So yes,
that is absolutely true. Yeah.
What 500 pounds, 600 pounds of body work, 800 pounds of body work.
Well, it's not that. I mean, it'd probably be around like 300 or 400 pounds, but it's a lot. So you take that out of an already lightweight car, and then you make it do its thing that go fast. So I did a launch control, and it was super quick. And it was so quick that the fire extinguisher that was in the footwell of the passenger seat, that went off, and it kept going off. So immediately.
Very funny and very terrible. In the land of YouTube, that's about the best possible thing that could happen because it's a great visual gag, but where nothing ultimately breaks.
So that's all the smoke, white smoke that comes out of the
fire
cab as you come to the
extinguisher.
stop. That's hilarious.
That sucks.
Well, let me tell you what happened because I immediately thought that the car exploded. I thought the car blew up. And I got out of there so quickly.
This is the fire system, and that's because the car blew up, or did you just see the mist and smoke and or whatever, the fog, and go, oh God, that's the engine?
Well, first off, I'll tell you, I had several thoughts. So number one was a hydraulic line ruptured and then burst into flames, right? So because it was some weird smoke that I've never, like weird color smoke that I've never seen before. And I wasn't going to stick around to find out. So I just like jumped out of the car. Now,
did you wait for
after
it to come
that,
to a complete stop, or was it still kind of coasting?
No, I stopped it. I turned off the car. I mean, I jumped out of the car because it's really easy with no bodywork.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that I thought it was hydraulic, and then I was like, maybe it's electrical, and then I thought, oh, maybe it's the gearbox, and then realizing that the gearbox is like a few feet behind me, so that wouldn't make any sense. And then Jared starts running towards me. He goes, "Did that fire extinguisher go off?" And then it just clicked in my head. And I said, "Oh yeah, that's exactly what happened." And
was it just like a fucking basic bottle mounted to your seat rail, or was it like a fire suppression system?
When you say mounted, that is a really so.
Oh,
what's interesting that
went off of the footwell.
Yes,
Why
no,
did that happen?
Total mystery. No one can ever figure that out. No, so I always have a fire extinguisher with me to, in case something happens. It's the insurance policy. So I didn't realize that this was the fire extinguisher that we used on Car Trek 2, where we had to put out like the Maserati fire, and for some reason the pin wasn't in there. So if it got knocked around, there was a good chance that it would like squeeze the trigger.
Smashed. Yeah. I thought it got like punctured or something. Just a trigger squeeze, though, is that's okay.
Yeah,
that's like reasonably controllable.
Yeah, but I mean,
you can hose it out
empties
now still,
itself.
Right? Can you just like hose it off?
Yeah, of course. So we had to take everything out of the interior, but I mean, it's not. When I say everything, it's 2 seats and some carpeting. So we had to take everything out and then make sure that it didn't touch anything electric, because that stuff corrodes really, really quickly. But other than that, I mean, we spent about an hour and a half cleaning it. And made a video out of that.
That's fucking I made a video out of that, right? So we the fire extinguisher goes off, we cleaned it, and then there's $5,000.
Right. So you got paid to detail your car.
Yeah, and you're like, thank you, fire bottle.
Monetize your misery. That's what YouTube's all about.
There you
go.
So
can you give me and the people like the quick, 2-minute TLDR on this whole car, like what the story is?
Sure. So I bought a 2016 McLaren 675 LT. It was crashed in the front and the back, and also the side, and also any place a car really exists. That was just all broken. So I bought that, and I thought that was going to be a good project for me, and didn't realize that it needed all this work. And then I started taking it apart and just peel off the layers, and you realize that it's just as crappy underneath. So I replaced everything: front subframe, rear subframe, some suspension components, wheels, tires, bodywork. Bodywork needed a lot of carbon fiber work. We had carbon tub damage, which I got fixed by a really good carbon repair specialist that does like race bike frames and boats, and like the race boats, like the really expensive ones. So we got that finished, and then now we put everything together. And when I say we, I mean me and my friend Jared. We put everything together, and now the car runs like stock, except for the fact that it has bigger turbos, downpipes, and it's going to get a tune, probably around 800 horsepower, something like that.
So when you got it, was it in working order? Was the engine in working order? Because I have this picture, which I have questions about for the audience.
Yes, so
it looks like the engine might be running, but dumping chalky smoke.
It looks like the
exhaust.
engine is running on fire extinguishers.
It is, and it absolutely smoked out my entire shop. So that was the first time we ever started the engine. Now this car had been sitting for 3 years. This is 2016. It was crashed late 2016. Car has like about 7,000 miles on it. It was crashed in Chicago. I believe it was in October or November. And as you can imagine, October or November in Chicago with Trofeo R tires is probably not a great, it's not a great situation for grip, right? went backwards. There's a lot of weird damage, like with that accident. And after that, I don't think the car ever ran. When it went to Copart, IAA, like every single insurance auction you could imagine, and it was sold and resold. I mean, I think it went from 130 to 110 to 90 to 80, and then it just kept on getting sold and sold by people who thought, oh, this is just like a few bumpers away from me fixing this and selling it for $300,000. So the engine never ran, and that's because when the car got hit in the back, it pushed the engine and transmission forward about 4 inches. And that broke one of the mounts, and one of the mounts from the actual block. So the block was cracked in essence. So we had to essentially weld that entire piece back from scratch. So we just started building up a weld.
You can weld a block? I didn't know you could do that.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not. I'm not saying like we weld where the pistons go, right? But this is where the it has weird like dog bone mounts. Like usually engine mounts, they have like one on either side, but on this, it's they're in the front and they're like this. They're kind of like dog bone mounts. One of them was just ripped off. So what we did is we just welded a back and ear with the same kind of aluminum, made sure that it was like the same strength, made sure nothing around it was being damaged with the heat, made sure that everything was like as OEM as possible. I even made it look like it was OEM with like shaping it with a file and all that stuff. We even drilled it and helicoil tapped it just like it would be from the factory, and it absolutely looks like 100% stock.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and after that, and to get to your question about why the car was like smoking like a chimney, the reason why is because when we were working on the car, working on the engine, we had the engine upside down, and engines don't like to be upside down. All the oil kind of goes in places where it's not supposed to go. So when we turned it right side up, we realized that all the oil kind of went into one cylinder. So we took out that spark plug, rotated it, and it shot out like 45 feet across my shop, like just an oil trail, which was really funny.
You've hit an artery. Oh my God.
Exactly. Like, yeah. What's really funny is like afterwards, all that oil is probably still in the intake manifold. So we turned it on, and it was just like the most smoky thing you can. I mean, if I was like a hack comedian, I would say reference or something, but it was something like just the.
So like, all right,
We'll
but
proceed.
riddle me this regarding this McLaren.
Sure.
You got it as cheap as one could get a McLaren, pretty much, right? It was pretty fucking cheap, right? But I've seen various posts, and I don't have time to watch videos, but I see you on Instagram and follow along that way. And you talk about a lot of posts that like are parts that like McLaren didn't make anymore, or you got the last one, or like so. Is your life hack only the fact that you're not paying yourself labor charge, or despite that, is this still going to turn into quite the financial undertaking?
So right now, if I wanted to tally how much this all cost, I would probably be into it as much as a used one. Like you can probably buy it at 675 LT for the amount. Like this is not a good financial decision for anyone to do. Anyone telling you otherwise, especially on a McLaren, especially on something that is really like not bespoke, but just like limited number of any car, that's like, it's a really bad idea.
How much
so
like,
you
do you
need
think,
to,
hypothetically, if you could have saved, if you were saving like a crashed 570 or something where they made, more of them?
$100,000.
Wow. Yeah. So the fact that it's an LT specifically, and that they made so few of them, and that spares are just that much more limited, is really the cause of like a lot of these headaches, right?
Well, also because like I don't want to toot my own horn here at all, but my channel, I'd like to do I have a mantra called "Build It Better." right? So, and when I build it better, I try to do as much as I can towards OEM, if not something that would be approaching OEM standards, like the best of my ability. A lot of people on YouTube that do rebuilds, they do rebuilds for YouTube. I don't want to do rebuilds for YouTube. I want to do rebuilds that, like, for cars that I'd like to drive across the country, you know, like the Mercy that's in the
Mercy
Peterson.
is pretty nice.
You know?
Yeah, the Mercy is pretty nice. I only drove it like, 100 feet around my shop, but the interior was really nice. It looks really great.
Yeah.
It runs pretty good.
I mean,
it's a pretty nice little car.
Yeah, it's an older Mercy too, so it has its little quirks. Like it has a straight pipe, so it doesn't really like to do cold start and stuff like that. Like there's weirdness to that, but I want to make sure that if I were to take this car on a road trip, or if I wanted to take this car to its limits, to its like mechanical and performance limits, I could do that with no problem. I don't want to have it be a liability for myself or anybody else. So every time I see something that's like a bracket is a little bit bent, I could bend it back, or I can get a new one. And I always try to get the new one because that's what it would have been from McLaren. So, and especially on a 675 LT, like this thing does 200 miles an hour, like all day, every day. So I'd rather have that sort of insurance policy for like just in my head. I know that this isn't something I need to worry about. Like, I left a bolt loose or something.
You find anything in there where you're like, oh my God, this is so shitty. I can't believe they did this.
So the paint work is really bad. The paintwork on McLarens is really bad.
Yeah, that's not shocking at all. The paintwork on a lot of cars, and in fact, it's not the paint itself; it's the finishing. Like they don't do that last good level of polishing that would really make it, pop. We see that with Porsche. The number of fucking new cars that we do the super detail on here. I mean, about half the cars we do the super detail on come here on a flatbed from the dealer. They're brand new, and they have fucking orange peel. They look terrible. Yeah, go ahead.
Porsche has some of the worst orange peel in the industry. And what's interesting is if you go to their the factory in Leipzig or Stuttgart, they have this like, we need to have 100% quality in all of our cars. And then you look at the paintwork, and like any detailer would be like, this is pretty bad. Like you could have color sanded this. Like
to be fair, if you said we needed 100% quality inside the cars, not on the outside of the cars. Very, very important note.
I did when I went to Leipzig. They do a whole big thing about how many quality checks they do, and yet the paint on some of them is not so great. Now, when we
that was a good factory. Leipzig is a good factory.
Leipzig is very, very cool. I really like it, Leipzig, because they build like a few different cars there, and they all kind of like merge together into one line. It's very neat.
Oh yeah.
We have our man Derek, who does like the super details here. After he's done with one of those cars, it glows like crazy, but it needs that extra level of love that they're not doing at the factory or the dealer.
Is the orange peel then, is it because of the clear coat and how it's applied over the paint, or is it in the paint and then they can do something with the clear coat to make that orange peel effect go away?
Freddie can probably tell you the scientific answer.
But I mean, I'm not a detailer, but I'm actually starting a detailing channel with my detailer. So we're going through this whole process of like trying to kind of like Larry Casilla, like
I know him
obviously. Yes, you know him, Matt. Yes, I'm aware you know Larry.
Do you want
Casilla.
to see the picture of him at my bar mitzvah? Because I have it.
yes. No. Obviously, you guys go way back, but it's along those lines. But I just want to make sure that I know all the terminology and know like what the processes are.
Yeah.
So as far as I can tell, the orange peel is just on the outside. It's on the clear coat. And you can mask a lot of things with clear coat, depending on how thick that clear coat is, depending how thick the paint work is. So usually when you do any sort of paint work on a detailer work on a high-end car, you put a paint meter on it just to see how much you're working with. And then, you kind of do a little bit of math in your head and see how much of that is clear coat, how much you can take away, if it's single stage, if it's multiple multi-stage, all that. Orange peel comes in when it's just imperfections in the clear coat, just like little bumps and ridges, and how it dries and how it settles, and moisture in the air and all that stuff, solvent pop. Not solvent pop, but just like how the chemical processes harden the actual material. And afterwards, you're usually supposed to do a color sand. Now, the color sand can go down to glass, which
Also
is like what they do for, So you just wet sand the paint, and you can go really kind of thin, where it's just like glass, or you could just leave a little bit of the orange peel there. Some people like the orange peel because it's like, this is an OEM car, and this is the way they would have made it. And some people just like the glass look because they want SEMA to be every day of the year.
Who likes the orange peel? Have you met someone who likes the orange peel?
I believe him.
What orange peel defenders do you know?
I know a few. So
really?
So let me tell you. Yeah. So orange peel is really good in the preservation class of like Amelia or Monterey. They look for. So people talk about, I'll get dinged if I don't have orange peel on my car.
Right. This car was delivered shitty, and if you don't restore it to shitty, you're going to get negative.
This has been restored to pre-recall.
Yeah. Well, that's actually, Donnie, who works on my Ferrari, who you should absolutely meet next time you're on the West Coast. He's your kind of people.
Yes.
And if you haven't met him before, he's great. And he is a Concours judge. And so, when he's going through my car, he's not going through it as a Concours judge. He's going through it as a mechanic, but he's pointing things out, and he pretty much said, like, my car's been repainted. And he's like, your paint, it's too nice. It's like, if you were entering a prestigious car show, your paint would actually be too nice, and you would get knocked for it and whatever. He's like, who gives a shit? But that's how it is. You know how I think McLaren hides their orange peel well? The matte colors. Not like the matte, not the matte paint. I mean the flat colors, the without the pearl, the flat colors.
Yeah. So my color was Delta Red, which is just like a red orange. It doesn't have any flake. It's not like McLaren sunburst or whatever the hell.
We got a photo up on the real Tavarish on Instagram. If you're not into watching YouTube videos, you should follow the real Tavarish on Instagram because you can get the gist.
Yeah,
it's a good color.
Well, McLaren,
this orange. It's a lovely color. It looks great.
Yeah, I like it a lot. But I wanted to make my car a little bit special, and also McLaren won't sell you the color. They won't tell you how to make the color, and if you ask them for the color, they will charge you something like $1,600 for the paint or a bumper. So I'm not big for that.
That's hilarious. It's like you're the second owner. Like, no. It's like Tesla removing ludicrous mode from their cars. Like, no, sorry, second owner, go fuck yourself.
Oh yeah, of course. Like, you shouldn't have. Why would you buy a car used? What's wrong with you?
It's very good. I mean, look, you found a shop to fix the fucking tub on this car. You can't find a shop to match the paint. Yes, you can.
You can, but the paint code has with McLaren, it's several layers of different shades of paint. So if you want to do Delta Red, that's fine. Like, Delta Red is no problem. But if I wanted to do like McLaren Orange, which is like pearl, and then it's a base coat, it's candy. Yeah, color. It's crazy.
Really,
and it's great.
Is that what you're going
to do? And McLaren won't sell it to you. Yeah. No, I'm not doing that. So we're doing a Mexico blue variation. Yeah, so it's going to be a Mexico blue, but a little bit lighter. And since Auto Tempest is kind of sponsoring this whole series, I'm just going to call it like Blue Tempest or Tempest Blue, something like that, because it matches their marquee.
That's very good. It's similar. We have is that the rendering there on your? Do you have a rendering on your Instagram? Yeah,
I do. Yeah, so
a nice little Photoshop. It's similar to McLaren's blue. We've got a 600 LT here at WCCS that has a blue kind of like this that was like the launch color for the 600 LT. Yours is a little richer, I think, right?
Yeah, mine is a little bit lighter, and I'll still probably change it a little bit. But this was I didn't Photoshop, like I'm not good at Photoshop, so I didn't Photoshop this much. I just put on the wheels from the 650S LM because I really like those wheels. I actually talked to the guy from
You're a man of taste.
1552, yeah, to get those wheels done.
Can they make those? 1552? They can make those for you?
So they can make those, yes and no. So those wheels, the barrels and everything, like the general shape of the wheels, they can. But the fact that the rear wheels are 11 inches wide, they don't have anything that wide. So I would have to have them cut and then like widened, which I'm not a real fan of doing on a car that does 200 miles an hour.
Don't do that. No. So what can you do?
No.
Do you have to just get a stock wheel?
Well, I got stock wheels. So my original wheels were completely messed up. I mean, all four were bent. So I'm using them as furniture now. So I got a set of 10 spokes 675 LT wheels from UK. They were used, but in good condition.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then
You
just had them.
Yeah. They look nice. It's a silver wheel. Looks great. Are you going to blast them a different color? Or are you going to leave them silver?
Well, these were after I blasted them. So this is cool. Right after I got them for the powder coater. Yeah. So I got a silver metallic.
Great.
Yeah.
That looks great. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Nice work, sir. Very nice. And
Thank you.
PS4S is not Cup 2s. You're a smart man.
Of course. Well, I mean, I want to drive the car, and I don't. People always ask, "Why don't you get like a Toyota R888R?" Like because I want to use the car. You know, like it's.
You ever drive on them? Like really try to drive on an R888? They're sticky, but there isn't a louder tire. I mean, south of a fucking mud battle tire or something, there isn't a louder tire you can put on a car. You put this in, what the fuck? Do I have a hub going? What the fuck is wrong?
Also, I live in Florida where it sometimes rains.
Oh yeah.
So those are not good in the rain.
Yeah, I know. You don't want to get caught out on some crazy Cup 2 in a rainstorm. It's not about that. I encourage all of my customers here at WCCS when they wear out their Cup 2s just to get the regular tire. Don't even
more usable tire all the time, unless you're trying to like win the streets, which nobody.
People are trying to win the canyons right now. They are.
There's a lot of bench racing that goes into tire purchases. Like, what if you have to compete Le Mans tomorrow on your street car? And you're like, I'm not doing that.
That's like, what if I have to move a couch? F250 King Ranch is what I'm going to be commuting to work in. I might need to move a couch one day.
So do you have anything new? Like you got any new cars that you're looking at buying? Because you're like you got that 328, right? Which is awesome. You got it.
I can't recommend one highly enough. You'd really enjoy it. It's a really good time. Donnie really seems to have a good time working on them. It seems fun, and it's really rewarding to drive. It's just click 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 click. I mean, it's just so nice.
So I got something similar. I have a 78 308 GTB.
You sent me pictures of this thing. It fucking rules. Can we find pictures of it on your Instagram? Because Zach, Freddy,
I don't think I have it up there yet.
Hysterical. Give us the description of this thing.
So this is going to be our next Car Trek car. We're going to be filming that in the next 2-ish weeks. Hopefully, if the country just thaws out a little bit. But this is what looks to be like a cannonball run car. Like it was meant to evade the cops as quickly as possible, which is like really weird. So it has a bunch of these 70s mods. It has a over.
Thank you.
Are we good? We're good?
Yeah.
Okay. So it has an overhead tape deck and an equalizer and everything, just like where the roof would be and where the center console is. Yes, overhead.
That helps you evade the police.
Dude, he sent me pictures. The stereo's in the ceiling. There's a whole fucking crazy console in the middle.
That sounds awesome.
Keep going, Freddy. So good.
So the center console has a police scanner, but it's like it's a police scanner from the 70s, so nothing works.
Fuzzbuster.
It really does.
Yeah, basically. There's also a driving computer where you can input your mileage and like speed. So it's like a TSD rally type thing.
Yeah.
and it has like a bunch of these weird weird switches because it has, I think, a dozen lights in the front bumper, and I don't know what that's for, but it's like rally lights. It's crazy, and it's
I
all
bet one of those
behind the
switches
grill
too you should check out is probably a brake light cutout and a tail light cutout as well. So if you find switches that don't do anything, they don't seem to do anything, definitely try them again while stepping on the brake pedal. I put a brake light cutout in a car that I had in 2006 because I thought Alex Roy was a god. and then when I sold that car to somebody, I did not tell them what the switch in the ashtray did. They have absolutely no idea. So this person's going to find a switch that does nothing, but they might also have no brake lights.
Oh my God.
Listen, we all take risks in life. So it's it's just something that you have to contend with.
Freddy sent me pictures of this car, Zach. And at first, it almost looks like a kit car Ferrari because the interior has been so modified. And Freddie, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it a two-tone exterior, red on top, black on the bottom?
No, it's just a red car. I'd like to do a two-tone, maybe with some gold Lancia Stratos style wheels, or the coffin spoke wheels.
Yeah.
But it just looks like a regular 308 with the crappy 14s, but it has these like monster tires that look like they were like racing slicks or something.
Oh,
and
real balloony tires.
Cool.
Yeah. And this like the tiniest brakes, like the brakes are so small.
That's probably
I don't
stock.
What?
Honestly.
Oh yeah, no, it's
What
100%
year
stock.
Say it again.
Huh?
What year car?
It's 78.
It's
1978?
78. It's the same year as Steve's car.
Okay.
The same year our homie Steve, I just went out with my 328 and his 328, his 308 last weekend, and his is an earlier car, but yours is like it's the period mods are really like is David Deem and Doug Turner's car is like accounted for, right?
I don't know. That's a great question, and that is a question for Alex Roy. 100%.
Have you, Freddie? Have you sent photos to Alex Roy?
So I haven't sent photos to Alex Roy, but I talk to Ed Bolian almost every day.
Ed Bolian would probably be the person. Actually, I forgot you guys are like homies. So where does Ed think the car came from? He must be into this story.
Yeah, he's really into it. We don't know. So it might be. I mean, it wasn't on any of the
but it's
runs.
not David Deem and Doug Turner's car. We're sure of that, right?
No. They have a GTS. I have a GTB.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. But I was looking at, that was like the first thing that I thought. But no, it's a really, really cool. So it was built by a shop that did land speed record cars, like Bonneville salt flat cars, in the 50s. Yeah. So it has some pretty cool history, and I really want to get into it.
Where was the shop that it was built? In California?
I think it was in California, somewhere on the west. But the car it made its way to Kansas, and Tyler actually bought it for me. He found an estate sale which had like all these really cool cars, and he was like, "Oh, there's some Ferrari that kind of runs like crap, but it'll probably go for cheap." So we ended up buying it.
How cheap was it? Can you say?
So it was, I could. It's $30,000.
That's pretty cheap. Does it run?
Oh yeah, it runs
It
fine. It has it has some modifications. It has apparently a hotter cam, better carbs, that sort of thing. So it's pretty quick.
It's probably like this dude Steve's car. This guy we were driving with last week has a hot cam in his car and carbs and like a Tubi or something and it fucking shot fire. It was pretty cool, man. It was pretty sweet. It was fun to follow that guy.
Of course, when you're talking about high horsepower in a 308, you're really talking about like 275 horsepower. So
right.
It's
But it's without the stupid stereo shit. You're talking about a 2,700 pound car. I mean, it's pretty light.
But then a 675 LT, that's also a 2,700 pound car with 675 horsepower.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's good fun.
Of course. So when are you getting back your Countach?
I already took it back. I got it back. I took it back last week.
You got it back?
I took it back. Yeah, I repoed. They can't. They weren't like opening the museum. What was I supposed to do? Like I had to be
my
sorry,
car
yo.
is stuck there.
No, they're not. Well, they're not going to call you. Let's just say that. But if you call them and say, look, we agreed on this much time and this and people can't go in the museum. Like, what are you supposed to do? I started to get really nervous about like not driving it and things rotting and all that. And so I said, I'm going to have to come take my car. And they were cool about it. And they got another car. There's a white one in there now, a white Countach, white on white, which is fun. Those are always fun. So I did 120 miles on it,
with
and
them
it was
today,
fabulous. Yeah. It was the best 120 miles I've done in a really, really long time. It was great.
Awesome. I miss my car so much, but I know that in the museum, I think it's appreciating a fair bit, just knowing that it's in that museum because it's a movie car and because it was rebuilt and all that stuff. So, we'll see what the Provenance holds if anybody wants to buy it. But that's probably one of my favorite cars that I've ever driven.
Well, when you decide it doesn't need to be in the museum anymore, just fucking give your boy a ring. I'll go pick it up for you. It's nice. It looks good over there. It's a nice looking car in the exhibit. It's right next to the fucking F40 and the GTO and shit. It's pretty dope. It's looking good.
Yeah, they were gonna do it as a photo op, so people could go and stand next to the car. And we had a little rider in there to say that there's gonna be some damage to the car, like paint work, because people are gonna rub up against it or like just try to people are people, right? So I didn't really care. I mean, a car's a car. But right now I know that
how far away the barrier is going to be. 4 feet? Better make them 6 feet.
Listen, man. I mean, here's the thing. If I go to a car show and I have a nice car, and I get angry at people, like, I don't know, their kids are like, if a kid wants to climb in the car or something, like, I know that they don't know any better, so I'm not gonna fault them for it. Obviously, if somebody's trying to vandalize the car, then I'll have a problem with that. But other than that, like, if people want to see the car, like when I took the car to SEMA, people are gonna be, most people are sort of respectful of nice things. Some people aren't, but I'm not really concerned about that. Like, you're gonna get scratches, not the end of the world.
Oh, okay, sure. I just wouldn't leave my shit like unattended for 6 months without the barriers is all. My paint is like, your paint's like a year old. My paint's like 35 years old and very,
of course, yeah,
and very original and very fragile. Yeah.
What if I told you that they make more
a whole video? I know, but you can make a whole video that's like repainting my Fast and Furious Murcielago, and it's like $20,000. So,
yeah.
Whereas I make a video that's like repainting my Countach, and people are like, "You whiny, spoiled fuck!" Like,
and it costs you $40,000.
It's weird. It's weird how that works, because I am on the other side of that now, because I have, I never grew up with any sort of like any of these cars. So now that I'm doing YouTube, and now that I'm kind of getting a garage that I've always wanted, now people are looking at it and they go, well, you don't know what it's like to be broke. It's so weird to be told to stay in your lane when, like, just the other day you were right there. So it's like,
yeah, I can understand that people weren't along for the ride. They don't know. They just jump on board now.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And yeah. Not that I'm saying I'm not full of privilege. I am full of privilege. So if you think that about me, you're probably right. But if you're thinking about Freddy,
no, I think most of us. No, but I think so. I'm privileged in the way where I have, first of all, born in circumstances which allowed me to come to this country. That's a really big privilege. You have height privilege, you have intelligence privilege, you have like, I don't have any like diseases that allowed me to, like,
good looking man, like very
not
good-looking.
Not at all, that is not even true, not even a little bit. But there's a lot of things that can allow you to have like an upper hand on other people, but I necessarily need to latch onto those, but I like to disclose to people like what I've been through, just because like a lot of people don't understand what it is. Because I came to this country, like my parents came to this country with like $200 in their pocket. We lived in the projects, all that stuff, and now I'm driving an orange Lamborghini that's in this fancy museum, and
that's what happens when you start I bought the cheapest thing ever and fixed it. That's when you started that. You get to buy nice things later. That's like,
if you want to talk about insane though, yeah.
Not Sun Kang, my friend Sang Yoon, excuse me, Freudian slip there. Literally sells hamburgers, lots of hamburgers, but he invented you can't change things in your order, and he invented the order at the window and then take a number and sit over there, and this will still be $50. And because he invented those things, he can spend money on all kinds of shit now that other people find ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it's really interesting when you find out, like when you kind of peel back the curtain a little bit, because YouTube to me was this weird thing where I thought, okay, maybe I can make a living doing it, but once you understand what kind of money people are making, like at the top, it gets like real stupid. It gets like they can write off private planes, like they can, it's real dumb. And like the money that companies throw at them is insane. Now, in car community, in like our car community, it's, we're a small fish in like a big pond. If you talk to YouTube about like car content, they won't
it's
care.
Like nothing. It's like 4% or 3%. It's like fucking bullshit. Talk to them about like fun PG pranks. And it's like 45%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If I wanted to do slime DIYs, right?
Bro.
If I wanted to
I hung out with this kid, Collins Key. Do you know the Key brothers?
Yeah.
Have you ever talked to them?
I do, yeah.
Fucking is Devin the other guy's name? It's Collins. He was the nicest kid ever, and he was like 23 and looked like a model, and he fills swimming pools with beach balls and Nickelodeon slime, and he pays for that. It's not even like a sponsor writes the check for that. He pays for that and sees a return.
Right.
What the fuck is going on? It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so far out of our world.
I think they also have, like, those people also have a little bit of a cheat code because they have gamed the algorithm for quite a bit, because they market themselves for, like, this is content for infants. Like, it's not for it's not for adults. You don't go like, hey, I want to fill a swimming pool with Orbeez. Like, that's great, but you can't make a career out of that, right? If you want a career out of that, you're talking to 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
So, and you can be an absolutely nice person, that's fine, but sooner or later, that kind of like, you have to pay that bill. So when COPPA came through, like it screwed a lot of people over, but now they're kind of coming back. I don't know.
Stop. What's COPPA? What did I miss?
COPPA? The COPPA.
What's that? Something I need to know?
So, okay. So,
am I in violation of something I need to know about?
Do you guys not know about this, really?
No.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
What am I missing? Help.
Fam. Okay.
Fucking Doug left us out to dry. You can't too.
Yeah. So COPPA is it's like a child protection act that was enacted and basically fined YouTube hundreds of millions of dollars because they were essentially getting information about children on their platform, which is illegal. Like you can't,
Right.
They were monetizing.
Yeah. Okay, what we know about is the results of this. We didn't know necessarily the causes, but now it's this video is not appropriate for children checkbox, basically, right?
Right, correct.
Yeah,
yes.
okay, all right.
Yeah, so it's not appropriate for children.
Okay.
And if it's for kids, then you have it's restricted. You have basically very limited monetization options. So it's not a great look. But
it's probably
I
for
assume,
the best, though.
Yeah.
I think that's
absolutely think so.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So with car YouTube, it's weird because we have, first of all, cars are very expensive. Even really crappy ones are thousands of dollars. So you have a product that needs a very, very high barrier of entry. So we have like some of the highest CPMs you get on YouTube, like bar none.
Actually, the highest CPMs that we get in our entire channel is when I do a boat review. The more expensive the product, it seems, the higher. If I go drive a 50-foot yacht, we have the highest CPMs that we get. Now we don't get great views, but it's the highest. It's point. I can say it. It's 0.0035 cents per view. That's for boats, and it goes about as low as what 0.0023, Zach, something like that. 2.1, 2.3. That's like the range for some other stuff, and then the average is like 2.7 or 2.8. But yeah, 3.5 for boats.
I've never looked at it as like a per view thing. That's got to be like, it's 0.0.
It's kind of depressing when you do. Super depressing. We hired this dude who analyzed our shit, and so that's how we ended up with. Shout out to Kevin. You're good.
Well, and we're happy to tell anybody about it except Doug.
Fuck Doug.
Because we were his guinea pig.
No, yesterday, though, I saw that black soft-top G-Wagon in my neighborhood, and I was walking one way, and it was driving the other way at 30, and I tried to, spin. I tried to flag the guy down. Didn't work. He gave me the kind of wave like he knew who I was, but then obviously didn't and just kept going. And then I was like, Hannah, write this down. Blah, 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 blah. And I tried to read the plate off, but he was kind of too far gone, and I don't think I quite got it. And so I texted Doug with the plate that I got. I was like, I think it's this. And he went back, it's not. He wrote back, it's not that. And I go, what do you mean? How do you know it's not that? He goes, well, a California plate will look like a da 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 da. And
oh my God.
I'm like, oh my God. He goes, why didn't you just take a picture? Because I was walking this way, and he was going this way, and he goes, take a fucking picture, Matt. And I go, I just said I was walking this way, and he was driving that way. And then he sends me some random picture, and he goes, you think I fucking took this standing still?
Doug is weird in that he attributes the circumstances of his life to everybody else's life.
No, dude.
So he's like, well, I could do it. Why don't you?
From Seinfeld. It was like, imagine a Jerry Stiller from Seinfeld going, you think I took this standing still?
All these apps, no camera.
I couldn't fucking get the camera out fast enough. It was, oh God. Sorry, Doug.
Of course, yeah. It's definitely a Seinfeld moment, yeah.
Dude, your collection is getting extremely out of hand. What is...
A little bit, yeah.
No, it is. It really is. You sent me pictures of a Lotus Esprit followed by a fucking Bricklin. You really have a problem. These are not good cars you've bought.
They are amazing cars. First of all, how dare you? Second of all, the Lotus Esprit was in Georgia, and I bought it for $10,000, and it was almost exactly the Pretty Woman car, so I had to buy it. The Bricklin it's a Bricklin, and it was next to nothing, so why not? But everything else is
having a Bricklin, not having a Bricklin. They're fucking junk. You can't make them good. There's nothing you could do. What are you going to do to a Bricklin to make it good?
I don't know. I've never driven one, and I wager it's probably going to be pretty bad. I think it's going to be
tractor. It's the worst thing you can imagine. It's so bad. But your Ferrari looks very good.
So I got the Bricklin brochure.
I bet that's fucking.
It's pretty cool. It has this full fold out thing here, and it goes into all the safety colors. But I think it's a pretty cool car. I mean, it's a Gullwing. It has a V8. And it probably drives like garbage, but there's a lot of other cars that drive like garbage that don't have Gullwings, so why not?
When you have a car that's with Gullwings that's where they don't help the car, that's really that's really kind of where it goes south.
So I finally bought a really practical car for myself. I got a new daily driver. So I got a 2015 S65 AMG.
Oh, that rules.
Does it work?
Yes. Yeah. It runs fine. It was, obviously cheapest one in the country, all this stuff. So I get this car.
How do you, is it really the cheapest in the country? You really just type something into Auto Tempest, and then you look for the one that is the cheapest, and you just go, okay, that one, and then you wire the money? Is that it?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. That's. I mean, there's a little bit more to it than that. Like I look on other sources and whatever
What if
to make sure that
cheapest
I'm not.
one is much more entertaining on YouTube? Do you then just forget about that actual cheapest one and call the one you got the cheapest? I think you do.
Listen, Matt, my brand is all about authenticity.
Freddy.
Okay.
Let's punch on
So-
eyes.
Or if the cheapest one in the country is just a total shitbox, and you're like, well, I guess an S65 is not for me, and move on.
Well, they're probably. I mean, if you're talking about salvage title ones or whatever,
Like, if
then
this
yeah,
is the
sure that
cheapest
there are
plane,
cheaper ones.
You know, but you can't drag it out of the woods. You got to get the second cheapest plane that still has engines.
Yes. So that picture was obviously in jest.
Of course.
So we found that plane fuselage in the woods when we were filming Car Trek 3, and we're like, we got to make a video about this because it's really cool. So they wanted to make something like a tree house for the kids in the family, but then that never happened. So it looks like it just crashed there.
It totally does.
Yeah. So
It would make a great
That's a
tree
cool
house,
idea.
actually. I mean, if you could like suspend that in the that would be
Yeah.
pretty rad, actually.
I mean, that's what they were trying to do, but then I think they realized that the trees couldn't actually handle the weight because that weighs a lot. I mean, it's many
Guys,
tons
no
of
one's really
fuselage.
done this math.
Dad, your Home Depot card will not cover this.
There's some dude who plopped like a Boeing in the middle of the woods, like I think it's in Washington State or something, and turned a Boeing jet into a house. Which
So he
seems
lives in a
fun.
Boeing in the woods.
Yes, he does.
Okay, I mean, listen,
If I had to
any
guess,
port in
he
a
has an
storm, right?
underground bunker full of guns. Also,
you're
but yeah,
not
there it is.
100%.
Airplane. Oh, it's Oregon. Yeah, Oregon for sure.
I mean, I wouldn't say underground bunker. I think he'd probably have another airplane full of guns.
All right, but this,
I mean,
the front wheel here is held up by what I will safely call over a dozen pieces of plywood to make the plane level.
Yes.
Because I guess the
So
landing
those
gear
are
is not
what's known in the
functional.
industry as shims.
Yeah, that's a shim. This is many apple boxes, and I think what looks like an old birdhouse at the top, and then the plane is on top of it.
there's an
That
interior
is
photo.
wildly-
Down on the left.
Every
there's an
house needs a
interior
good
photo.
foundation. Okay.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I would definitely fuck with a house that was made out of an airplane. I think if it was like a 747.
I think the house, it's a cool idea, but when I see what it's suspended on, I'm worried about everything.
just structurally, it doesn't seem.
Now
sound.
I'm worried about the electricity. Now I'm worried about the wiring.
So does he get mail? Like, what happens if he needs to get stuff delivered? Like
He
Uber
did
Eats,
get
you know?
mail, and then everyone just refuses to deliver to him now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
No, look, he seems honestly. The picture of the guy, he seems like he's really enjoying himself and is totally normal.
Yeah, he's smiling.
absolutely. I mean, it looks really cool, but it's one of those things like, the Simpsons thing where, like, I sleep in a race car bed. It's like, where do you sleep? I sleep in a big bed with my wife. You know?
He said he bought the plane for $220K. I mean, look, a house is
it's not too bad.
expensive. $220K is not so bad for a real interesting
That's very
house.
true.
Yeah.
You can buy a house for $220K. You know that, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's,
but you
it's
can't-
absolutely possible. That's not like a plane.
But no one will be talking about it. If you want a house, people will talk about $220K. Won't
okay.
have
Plot
it.
twist. So Campbell lives in the plane 6 months every year, and he spends the other part of the year in Japan, where he is also looking to buy and similarly reuse a retired Boeing 747. So he's going to build the same house in.
Okay,
That's awesome.
So this has to be one of those like international waters type situations where there are no rules when you do things like this. Like he has to be skirting some law that it's like one of those articles of confederation. Like, I don't need to have a license because
he's like a sovereign citizen.
I do not consent. Yes, yeah.
Driver's licenses are for suckers.
Wow. So
He just puts up like a pre-written note when he gets pulled over.
what he says, jetliners are masterful works of aerospace science, and their superlative engineering grace is unmatched by any other structure people can live within.
I mean, the guy
So,
likes
yeah.
big old jet airliners.
And he just thinks they're the strongest thing in the world. I mean, he's got
Good for him.
reasons. He's convicted.
I have to be honest, though.
Absolutely.
I think, you know what would stop me is the pooping situation. I mean, imagine
Yeah.
having to poop in an airplane bathroom all the time. I mean, that would really suck.
Yeah, but people have tiny homes where it's basically the same
That's
thing.
true. That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
They do. And people glamorize the fuck out of tiny homes.
He did not glamorize.
I mean, our RVs are a few $1 million, and it's basically the same thing.
God.
The RV industry, you know, I know some people who are in that industry, and they're like that guy and the guy I know who sells yachts. They've never had a year like this. The Big Boat Ben.
Yep.
I got a friend, Big Boat Ben. Follow him on Instagram. He's good. This motherfucker's cranking out yachts left and right. It's unbelievable.
People have to get away from stuff. So
Yeah.
they're like, all right, this is what
Where
I'm
can
doing.
I bring a hotel with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Why
RV
haven't you
specifically
done an
because
RV yet?
it's nuts.
It seems like you can capitalize on this.
I absolutely could, and I was thinking about an RV, but then I thought but that means I'd have to own an RV, and I don't like that.
Dude,
so
I just had an idea. What if you turned one of these ship boxes you've got into a fifth wheel hitch tow vehicle, where you just put a fifth wheel on the roof of like a Lotus Esprit, and then you would have like a super low profile tow vehicle.
Dude, your new S65 has the torque for it.
That is very true. You could put, I mean, you could do a land delay, and then but that would be the fifth wheel attachment. Yeah,
You'd open the land delay, and like the fifth wheel would rise up. That would be like the most redneck thing to do with like $1 million fucking car.
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
No, yeah, I mean, the RV stuff is all like, it's such a niche thing. That's why like I'm really scared of going into like off-roading or anything that's like it's a subset of a subset of a subset. So you have car guys, and you have car guys who like this, and you have car guys who like this, and like by that time you have like a percentage of your audience that are really into it, but it's like 5 people. So, you know, it doesn't really matter.
If you start going into off-roading, dude, there's nothing that you could do that will impress off-road people. I mean, not you, me, any of us folks who are in this space. Unless you got that 675 LT and literally sent that bitch 40 feet into the sky, you're not going to impress any off-road people at all. There's nothing you can do to impress them.
Well, even then, I mean, you would get more hate than anything. Have you seen the Street Speed 717 kind of controversy? He just bought a Ram TRX, and then he wanted to jump it.
Oh yeah,
but he sent it a little too hot, and he essentially bent the frame, and then he realized like, okay, screw it, I am going to just do like this YouTube series where I destroy this truck, and he got like a decent amount of views, not as much as you'd think, but you know, it's a $90,000 truck.
The math has not worked on that at all. I mean, like he got, like you're right, good views, 500,000, 1 million, but like trashing a $90,000 truck, insurance ain't covering that.
Total,
no, definitely not.
TRX videos. I mean, he's got a lot. He's got 7, 8.
You gotta make a lot of those, dude. You're Jesus. To make a, but still, I mean, okay. God bless. It's all, I guess.
I guess
is it tax deductible?
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, he made
probably
like 12 videos from this truck, and I think the average we'll say is 500,000 views.
I bet there's an argument to be made after the fact that I bought this truck as a production expense specifically to destroy it, and therefore it is 100% tax deductible. I'm not saying that argument would necessarily work in court, but it's totally defensible, and my accountant would love to make that argument in court.
I think he does a lot of like investor advice, so he's probably someone that's up on tax laws like that.
I also don't want to get in a situation where I have to defend that. So I don't want any audits. Like I'm scared like out of my mind for audits. Yeah. So for taxes, I end up overpaying, and I get a return, which is like, oh, cool, nice. I get some of my money back. But it's just like I don't write off my cars, nothing like that. If I have a car that is,
you don't, you should, you should, and you can, and it's legal fully. Just say.
Here's the problem with that.
You especially can, because your car is the production piece.
If it's a car that I only use for production, which a lot of them I do, fine. I can't define because that's like a personal thing that I go to get groceries and whatnot. Now, if it's something else where, you know, I can easily prove, like if it's a car track car and we only used it for that, fine. Or a parts car, I write it off. But other than that, it just gets into this weird gray area where YouTubers are like these crazy pioneers trying to make this content with these really expensive things. And IRS is like, let's give him an audit. Let's see what this guy really thinks about his taxes.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand. I'm afraid of the IRS as well. Very, very, very.
I think as you should be. Everybody who has any sort of business, like they are deathly afraid of getting blasted.
Business is creating content around these cars, and you specifically, I think, not that you should necessarily push the limits of this, but just I'm saying, I just as a thought, I feel like because you buy the cars broken, and fixing them is the whole thing. They don't really get driven all that much. And I'm not talking about your daily driving Mercedes, but
of course,
the other stuff. I think it's your whole job. It's your whole business. I feel like there's a real fairly safe argument to be made there. And in regular cars, at least I just went through this because I'm about to lease a new car because me and my wife need one fucking normal car in our life. We can't have only weird cars.
I'm really interested to hear what that is.
It's a Mach-E.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's cool. Cool little runaround car. Not exciting, but kind of exciting, but very practical and comfortable and fun. But
I also bought a practical car, and I'll get into it a little bit.
What'd you get? Other than an S60, not an S65? That's kind of practical.
No, not an S65. That's absolutely not practical. That car is like V12 twin turbo. It makes
4 seats.
Not really.
What's the difference? You can't just because it's got a big engine.
So I replaced my wife's 250,000-mile Hyundai Elantra with a 2017 Chrysler Pacifica Limited. And dude, I am really into this thing. Like, it is so good. Like,
they're great. They're great cars.
I am a van man myself. I like a van.
Yeah, and people like crap on it. I have no idea why. First of all, I don't know if you've ever been like on a trip because like you can fit everything plus everybody, and it's comfortable. It's good on fuel. It's like it's a really practical, really good to drive car.
I had a Honda Odyssey, 2009 Honda Odyssey, and it was the fucking best. It was like, it had 4 super comfortable captain's chairs. It had a great cushy ride. It had a great stereo, and we used it as a crew vehicle for about a year and a half, and it was just awesome. I loved it so much, and it made me sad to get rid of it. I don't even remember why I got rid of it. Why did I get rid of it? Because I moved to Venice. I didn't have anywhere to park it anymore, I think.
I mean, this van has like, I don't want to, just have this be van time, but
I'm sorry,
this van has
van
this
time
like
this show.
Exactly, yeah. So it has stow and go seating, like all the rows of the seats.
Oh wow, you got the
go
peanut
into
butter
the floor.
leather?
Whoa!
Oh, of course, yeah.
That's a nice looking leather, actually. It's comfy.
Yeah, and the car, like it's fully loaded. It has every option of the rear seat entertainment, which we don't want because we want to like eliminate screen time for my daughter. So it's crazy because like this van was $50,000 3 years ago, and I bought it for $21,000.
Whoa!
Really? That's awesome.
Wow.
How many miles on it?
I think like 70,000, something like that. But I mean, everything it looks fine. One owner.
Looks fine. Everything looks fine. Like that's
everything works.
Holy,
that's a lot of depreciation.
It is a lot. Yeah.
But this is a really optioned up van.
Of course, yeah.
60%.
You don't get that leather. That leather's like you sure you're not paying too much for this van?
It's 3 years old. That's 20% per year. Good Lord.
That's a fucking lot.
It is crazy.
There's AMGs that are like, wow, man, that's a lot.
And in fairness, I'm pretty sure when I got my van, I think I got it in like 2013, and it was in 09, so 4 years, and it was like 40,000, and I paid 20 for it, so I was like half. That's a little better.
I'm surprised because they're so useful, like, and so I'm surprised by the depreciation.
Second owners are looking for cool.
Yeah. That's true.
Maybe.
Well, here's the thing. That van is also, that van is very rare. It was one of only 188,000 made that year. So it's, you could say it's like maybe Barrett Jackson will have this in about 10 years. But honestly, van. I love it, and hopefully it'll last. And if it blows up, whatever. They made so many of them. You can just swap an engine. It's not a big deal.
Why would it blow up?
I don't know, but like.
Up?
I know it wouldn't, but just in case it did, catastrophic, the engine and transmission fail at once, you could just get another like full takeout from some yard and then just go on for another 100,000 miles.
I presume it's not the hybrid, it's the gas one.
No, not the hybrid. It's a gas, because the hybrid actually doesn't have the stow and go seats, because that's where the
It's got a battery.
are in the second row. It only has a third row. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that kind of eliminates like some usefulness for that van, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You'd hate to have a hybrid van that was less useful because of that. That stinks.
The stow and go is amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it can also go. I think the hybrid goes like 19 miles just on electric alone, which is kind of cool. But then, like, you're thinking, like, is it really worth it? The regular gas engine has 290 horsepower. It can get like 29 miles to the gallon. It's pretty good.
The simplicity of the regular one is fine. I think you might get a tax credit somewhere for the hybrid, and like
Probably.
in LA, 19 miles is a lot. In Florida, where you live, 19 miles is peanuts. But here that would be like all day worth of driving.
Of course. Have you got? Okay, so I wanna do a little bit of a rant here, and hopefully my connection is okay for this, and it's not too choppy. And if it is, I apologize, and I can go back and reiterate anything I'm saying. So there's this car company. It's called the Aptera. Okay, have you guys heard of this?
Yeah, I remember the Aptera, 3-wheel car, right? It looked like an airplane almost, right? Or like a helicopter with wheels.
Yeah.
It
looked exactly like a little helicopter fuselage or something like that. So they came out, I believe, in 2002, 2003 with a concept car, and it's one of these companies that kept on releasing concept cars, a lot like Elio Motors. And they had this idea that three-wheeling is the future because less and it's more conservationist and blah, blah, blah. So this car has, it's electric, and it also has solar panels on the roof, on the dashboard, on the hood, and in the rear. So they said this is their never charge technology. So you are, driving and also filling the batteries up for up to about 30 miles each day. Now, I don't know about you, but this seems like a scam.
It does.
This seems like an absolute scam.
You know what's really funny? Have you watched The Lady and the Dale? Have you watched this?
I have not, but I know the story of the Dale. I need to watch it.
I mean, especially
but yeah,
now
it's insane.
Pictures of this 3-wheeled fucking thing. It's like really similar. I'm getting a really Dale vibe about this thing. But go on. Yes, it looks like a scam. I agree.
Yeah. So I'm trying to I'm going to make a little video about doing the math on what the cross section of the solar panels is and what the average yield for a solar panel would be in energy, and seeing if that can actually propel this car for as long as they say it is. I don't think it can. I don't think they have any working prototypes. They certainly don't have any production. They don't have any way of bringing this car to market. It's a lot it's almost exactly what Elio did. And Elio, yeah, exactly. And specifically Elio, because it's like a 3-wheeled car. I talked to Paul Elio, who was like the CEO, and he was like a pretty nice guy. But then after a few years, I just realized I think this guy's just scamming everybody, because they do very Muskian type things.
100%.
So they release a product that's not tangible. So they release a cryptocurrency. So we're going to do like a Elio coin or something like that, which is an actual real thing. And they did like a merch drop, and they got people to give money for that. And it's like, the car is never going to materialize. It's never going to come out. And when it does, even if it does, it would get eclipsed by anybody in the market. And if you sheets or whatever they're proposing to get funding for it, it's laughable. It's like a freaking 5th grader wrote it. It's so bad that they don't account for their labor costs. They don't account for very, very basic stuff that anybody with a cursory understanding of business would tell you that oh yeah, they're obviously trying to scam people. So I'm trying to look into
Aptera by clicking. Can you? Are they actually taking reservations for these fucking things?
Absolutely. Yes.
Holy shit.
Yes.
Yeah, boy.
So you want to know how much these things cost?
Let's see. $44,900. Because Zach just pulled up the configurator.
Range option.
This
1,000
this
miles.
says 1,000 miles.
1,000-mile range for 45K.
Oh,
I
wait, does it have an
don't
onboard
believe
battery,
it at
or
all.
Is it saying
Never charge solar. 16 miles of solar charging comes daily built in for the roof, 6 miles for the hood, 18 miles for the hatch.
So
wait.
anytime a solar panel gets put on anything, you have to realize that, like, I remember like a few years back we had that stupid solar roadways thing. Remember that?
Solar
and, like,
roadways.
Yeah. And that's like, oh, it's cool if you don't know how any of these systems work. So
That's like the tunnel thing. It's like Musk's tunnels. Like if you have no idea how traffic flow works, it sounds like a genius plan.
do you want to reserve the off-road kit for this car?
Oh my God, there's this Aptera Safari, bro.
Yeah, it comes with a Wrangler that you can drive
Yo,
somewhere.
click on that. I want you to click on that and see what happens with the off-road
Well, there's a
kit.
painting.
More ground clearance. Does it come with the painting? I think I just want to.
I think the painting is all you get.
Freddie, I'm
Yeah.
just going to get you this painting.
Tougher wheel covers and more ground clearance. That would be a great.
Yes, because nothing says off-roading like a three-wheeled electric car. This is nuts. But like the solar stuff is interesting because, first of all, you have a car that's moving. The angle is always changing. So you're not going to have anywhere near the peak efficiency of a solar panel ever. And even if you leave it parked, it still has to move. Like if you look at all these solar arrays, they always move with the sun because, I mean, that's a known quantity, and they want to make the most of their surface area. With a car, you can't do that. Also, cars get dirty, it rains, there's cloud cover. Like none of this makes any sense. And then you have to replace the solar panels. They're expensive when they need to be replaced. And like,
Well, and they're not talking about like the big ones like you'd put on a roof. They're talking about a thin molded solar panel sheet, which is which would be more expensive.
Well, also, looking at I got their specs PDF pulled up, and like you said, Freddie, it seems very aspirational, very much like advertising. But it's like I don't see anything about kilowatt hours. I don't see anything about battery.
Right there, range options: 100 kilowatt hours, 60 kilowatt hours.
But like, there's no like where the battery arrays?
Yeah.
How many cells? How many cells do we have in here? Like all that stuff. It's just like charging. You can use this. Safety. It will be tested to exceed all applicable NHTSA standards. So they're promising
none of these cars are
crash standards eventually.
None of these cars have any sort of crash standards because, first of all, they test them using a computer, and they're three-wheelers, which in some states qualify as autocycles, and in other states it qualifies as motorcycles. So you actually have to ride with a helmet inside the car, which is insane.
That would be really funny to see people riding with a helmet inside the car. I don't know. I think you're right. I'm going to go with bullshit. I think the Safari kit is very funny, though. I think just take it and put it on a sandy background and call that and be like, it's got a Safari kit.
I would love to be proven wrong on any of these. I would love to drive one of these cars just to see what they're like. But every single one just seems like they are taking advantage of people with Elio, they were taking advantage of people who couldn't afford anything. This seems to be taking advantage of Tesla owners who want to have that new. If
you look at even if you just look at the stock market, the number of companies that are coming out that are like, we are going to be an EV company or a battery company or something. Granted, there are companies that are those things, but there are a lot of companies that are saying we're gonna be this. And Nikola, they're gonna get investigated to high heaven and be in big fucking trouble. And they're the biggest story about it. But they were promising the moon with a demo that didn't have an actual drivetrain.
Gravity
and
demo.
They're gone and they're in trouble. And I don't know, GM's going to sue them into the ground. But there's a lot of companies that are like, we're going to be this. We're going to. There's a lot of SPACs that are like, we're going to invest in a green technology when we find it. I think this is just like, it's a bit of a hype train that's going on. And to your point, Freddie, this is like promising the world we're gonna do it. Don't worry about it. We're gonna do it.
Well, I mean, that's the whole EV thing, isn't it? I mean, the whole we're going to be free of fossil fuels in 2035 or 2032 or whoever, and it's like a nice, it's a nice wish. Like I hope this happens, but then the infrastructure, like I've heard you talk about it, Matt, like a billion times about like where is it going to come from? Like the realistic, like how are they going to wire this? Like where's the energy going to come from? You know?
Well, Jason
like
Finsky
there's
just did
blackouts happening in Texas right now because it's snowing. Like, you think all those people like want to think about, you know what I mean? Like we have blackouts in the summer here in California because our existing infrastructure like can't handle.
But Fensky just did a really good video about this exact thing about the grid, and he's going to be on our show in like a month. We can talk about it in more detail. But the TLDR was like, we have increased our power output in this country like 6% per year starting in the 60s. And so if they're like, we could have the necessary like terawatts, kilowatts, whatever it is in 8 years if we wanted to.
Okay.
And like it is doable.
So it's possible
it's
if the resources are allocated to do it.
Yeah. It's not like something that would be like, oh my God, we need a new technology to do this. Like the battery getting off of fossil fuels to create electricity is very challenging because you have to store that energy, and we still don't have that kind of thing. But as far as like powering EVs, charging them on the grid, it is doable because we've been advancing our power output at the correct pace.
Yeah, at probably a faster pace than we're selling EVs right now.
Oh, hugely.
Yeah,
he was like, if everyone got an EV tomorrow, which we've discussed, like we'd have a problem. But the take rate is 2%, and if we're increasing our national power output by 6%, like it would cover it.
Yeah. I didn't know.
I'm thinking more of the.
It seems good, actually, doesn't it? That sounds good.
I'm thinking more of the interpersonal, like the government response to this, like, because those things tend to, like, we can have the technology can exist for many things, but the fact that we actually have to have things like permits or like digging up roads and things like that take up really large amounts of time and bureaucracies. Very and true. People not wanting that in their neighborhoods, or people really wanting that, but they can't get it. That sort of thing that really slows this whole process down.
Yeah, I mean, I think I equate what I think we need to the interstate system. The interstate system didn't exist, and then they decided it should exist, and then it existed, and some people definitely got fucked out of that. By the way, people who literally got forced out of their homes so a freeway could go literally through their yards, and I don't think we should do that. But but that level of response to this problem would probably elicit a sufficient, amount of power, right? But we need that. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that without that, it'll be a problem.
Yeah.
And without that kind of thing, this idea that in 10 years, major auto manufacturers are just going to not be selling fucking gas cars anymore. It's like, please eat a dick.
Yeah, there's a lot
You're
of
going to retract that
doors.
shit on page 17 in 3 years,
There's just there's a lot of things in the way.
Yeah. And it's a lot of optimism being published to get the headline and then sort of being parroted as just inevitability.
Well, I think you have to be optimistic if you believe in the technology and the benefits of it. You have to be optimistic. If you're myself or Freddy or whoever, like, it's good to go, we would like cleaner air. We would like these other things. Yeah. Can this do it? We don't know. We're hoping so. But to be optimistic and use it as a marketing tool is a different thing entirely.
Yeah.
I think that there's also, I mean, you never have a free lunch in any of these. Having an EV is a more efficient way to get energy out of a system and put it on the ground, right? And put it into motion. However, in order to get that energy into that car, that's a very dirty process. So you have lithium mining, you have, how do you store this? How do you these things have to be shipped. So there's a lot of things that people don't want to think about with EVs that are ingrained into how we perceive these things. And
Definitely.
if those don't change, then we're not going to really have anything. Let's say if we could have an EV future tomorrow, right? We'd have the infrastructure, we'd have the cars, they're cheap, everything's good, our air quality would be better. However, that means that we are exploiting labor across the world, like in a crazy degree. I mean, people are getting shot and murdered and forced into labor camps and stuff like that. Would people do it? I think a lot of people would.
I think a lot of people would, which is fucked up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I think they would. Yeah.
Like those special minerals are also already going into phones, computers, and the number of computers that are in cars today is increasing every year.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them have GPUs in them now to run all the systems.
Yeah, I mean, look, I continue to eat meat, and animals are treated badly every day. So on a level, like I'm capable of doing it, and I'm participating in the EV economy at this point, and so guilty, and that's definitely a very real issue. How do we get these materials for these batteries and these computers, and at what financial and human cost, for sure.
What's interesting is like I really don't want to put a downer on this conversation, but like for some reason I've been interested in World War history. I'm looking up a ton of like Nazi stuff about like how they could do what they did. And if you look up Wikipedia on the Holocaust, you actually see the video that the Americans made, like during the Nuremberg trials. They went to all these concentration camps, and like they made videos like as they arrived, which was like the most insane thing it's about an hour long. It's on the Wikipedia page. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen, like in my life. It is.
Yeah, they made us watch stuff like that in Hebrew school. I don't know if it's this exact video, but this sounds awful familiar. It is crazy.
And you think of like, why would people do this? And it's because like, at least I think it's because they distance themselves from what is going on, and they think, oh, that could never happen to me, or those people are not to be regarded as, like equal to me. And I think that sort of thinking really can go like it can reach anywhere. It can reach into cars. It can reach into the best of intentions. When you start like discounting the plight of a lot of people, like that starts getting real hairy.
That was the easy way to market the immigration ban for a couple of years. It was like, well, it's not happening to me. I have a friend who lives in Alabama. He's an immigrant, and he went to the DMV to renew his license. And when he presented his green card, the person at the DMV was like, "What's this?" And he said, "This is my immigration card." And she said, "But you're not an immigrant." And he's like, "Yes, I am." She's like, "But you don't look like one," because he's from Scotland. So she, we all know what she's saying. It's like it goes to what you're saying, Freddie. If people go, "Well, it's not about me. They don't look like me."
I had a friend who was an illegal immigrant from the UK who lived no problem in Phoenix for a fucking decade. Never an issue. No one ever thought about it. Looked at this guy. No, I understand. You have like, and if you get too dwelled up in every thing that takes advantage of any kind of person in any way, you like can't go through life. You just like
you have to go camping forever.
You have to like live in a van down by the river, and even that van was built.
Gasoline comes at a cost. Gasoline comes at a cost.
Everything has a human cost to it, and
then you just Jesse Ventura.
You're right. You're definitely right. It's and the more you look into anything, the worse the fucking world gets.
Of course. Speaking of that, on a
downer, Freddy.
On a lighter note, on Twitter about a week ago, that Chris Harris tweet where he talks about.
I was waiting for you to bring this fucking thing up. Yeah.
Yes. So that Chris Harris tweet where he talks about some YouTube influencer, I believe it's James JWW. So he went to. Either he or somebody else went to Litchfield, UK, which is like a tuning shop, and then he gave him this proposal of like, you work on my car and give me $25,000, and then I get like a back cut of your future sale.
Well, it's a little worse than that. Like I listened to Harris's podcast, and he said that Litchfield had been talking to this person for a little bit. They'd had some back and forth and moving towards a plan before the money was mentioned. So that's what made it a little bit grosser. It wasn't, and I don't know if you were going to go there. I'm sorry if I cut you off. It wasn't like a write-up.
Oh, no, go ahead.
It was like, oh, we're going to do this. Like, that sounds great. He's like, I had this many views. Like, we're going to have some suspension. And then in the middle of that negotiation, a few days or weeks in, it was like, now we just want to let you know that this is what we expect. So that was why it was kind of grim. It was kind of near.
Well, yeah, I actually have less of a problem with that. It'd be worse for me if I went to a company cold calling and told them it was 25 grand plus this plus that, and then I don't know what I would deliver to them for that amount of money, but I don't know what he
I'm with Freddy on this point. I think it's worse. I think it's worse if it's cold.
I think it's better because Litchfield Litchfield just thought they were going to provide parts, which they've done before to other people. You've gotten suspended from KW.
Yeah.
But if you're already in the process of all right, that sounds good, and then they slide this thing and by the way, here's what we're expecting. It's
not bad. It's not good. It's not good. But I think you think it's worse.
Yeah.
It's worse.
I'm not. So I'm of the idea that none of the nobody technically did anything wrong. The only thing is the amount was more than they thought it was, and then if it's a business negotiation, then they just say no, and they just say, oh wait, that's way above our budget, we can't do that, and then they go, okay, well I guess we're not going to do business.
For the record, I thought this was going to be one tweet 2 weeks ago. If I ever thought I would be discussing this right now, I would have never, ever gotten involved in this.
You don't want to
ever.
film 4 reaction videos?
I cannot tell you how little I care about this. I care about this enough to click a retweet button and then go back to my coffee. That's it. And yet I've been dragged into fights about this for a week. I don't.
Okay, Matt. Moving on. Moving on. Point proven. I'm sorry.
I think, like I said on Twitter to you, I think when I've worked with small tuner companies before in my own personal builds, I can't possibly imagine what you would deliver to this company for that much money plus residuals. And for my friend Chris, who I think is a pretty straight shooter. Now, Chris is tough because he really is a car journalist, a motoring journalist in the sort of traditional sense. He's already kind of set off by influencers. He doesn't really like influencers.
Which is weird because he really kind of started the car influencer, on YouTube.
Yeah, man.
But I think you have to use a different. I don't think you can use that word.
Exactly, it's a different definition.
Influence. Well, but that's important.
Having influence and being a car YouTuber aren't really the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think he gets kind of, I think he was, however the situation was, if it was presented in a way that he was that offended about it, I'm sure it wasn't presented well.
Sure, of course. Yes.
And if it was James, and I don't know if it was, I've met James. I think he's a nice guy. He's
a very nice guy. Yes.
I think he's a nice guy. And James's YouTube channel is a fully commercial operation. It is not journalism by any fucking means. It's not what Chris does. It's not what I do. He's literally a marketing company. And so. Okay, fine. I didn't when I retweeted it. By the way, I didn't know that it was James, and I didn't really. It's not who I was thinking of, and I'm sure you could think.
Oh
of
no,
who
I'm
thinking.
this is
I'm
what.
Sure, you could think of who I was.
This is what the zeitgeist assumes it was.
It wasn't James. So anyway, I don't know what James would deliver for that much money. It's a fuckload of money to ask from a small tuner company.
It is, yeah.
And you're talking about a parts for a GR Yaris. So how many GR Yarises are they going to sell?
And how many are going to
modify with that company that you could turn around that kind of profit to make back your cash payment plus a rip?
Yeah.
Fuck out of here. It's a ridiculous
Okay,
proposal.
Matt, let me tell you about a little word called impressions. Okay?
You see, it's not just the views. It's the views multiplied by their followers.
Exactly. We're going to put it on Facebook video.
God.
No,
we're going to pivot to video.
This was worthy of one tweet worth of discussion. Ultimately, if Chris wasn't so annoyed by it, and I think the situation probably could have gone how you said. Oh, that's too much money. I can't do it. Have a nice day. And that's the end of it. And it turned into a thing because things turned into things.
I think it also goes into people don't actually know how much money is changing hands from a lot of these brand deals, and it shocks them to know that like you could make a minimum wage salary for a year in one brand deal. Or you can have a decent salary in 1 year for one brand deal. So that kind of stuff scares me just a little bit, because people don't know what's really going on behind the curtain, and it's not like anything. There's nothing nefarious going on. It's like these are business deals, because these sometimes content takes a lot of money to make. It costs a lot of money to create. You have to know how to market to people. But it's like, oh wait, but I thought that you were this guy that just loved cars, and now you're just asking for tens of thousands of dollars. How dare you?
Or God forbid you do a host mention ad. I thought you were just in it for the pure joy of cars. Fuck out of here.
Well,
it's like
Another bummer about it was, I guess if people are watching content and someone you trust, they're using certain parts, I think a lot of us assume like that person has vetted those parts. And there's people that get like sponsored deals, but you go, okay, I'm sure you're putting good parts on. If this makes people question that, that's kind of unfortunate, because and Litchfield makes awesome stuff. Like their track record is great.
Yeah.
But what if you're putting on, Bob's Garage Suspension, because Bob's Garage gave you $25,000, and then you put them on your car and they fucking made a cardboard. Like, that's it's just kind of a bummer, like you said, to pull back the curtain and go, oh shit.
Yeah. Brand deals happen, but just I don't know. And look, if someone with a huge channel was talking about, if you're talking to, I don't know, Valvoline, you know what I mean? Giant conglomerate. That's the other half of it. It's not just that it's a lot of money. It's not just that it seems ridiculous. It's not just that it's like, well, how would you deliver that much? And maybe someone can. I mean, look, there might be, I might not know anything, and people could deliver hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars in value with one video. Maybe they can. But I've worked with small tuner companies a lot, and I know how little extra money they have. You know what I mean? And so when you work with a small tuner company, if you like the company, you ask them for parts. Maybe they install those parts in their shop, and maybe they give you a little extra love somehow, some way. But it's not usually cash, parts, install, back end rip. So all right.
Yes, that seems.
Please.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. By the way, it's good that you mentioned Valvoline, because I just did a deal with Valvoline for the year. So
did you? Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, they're doing all the oils.
McLaren burns. That smoky video is going to be like, and I'm going to blow out all this Valvoline. Bro, you got
it burns the good
Aston Martin on your YouTube channel header. I think you need to update your header banner, dude. You still got the Aston Martin
I think so
there.
too. Yeah, I have my V8 Vantage that was Doug DeMuro's, and I have been entirely too lazy to get that off. Also, is a link to a site that no longer exists. So I had a site called Apida Online, and it was supposed to be like a answers database for cars and stuff. And I was going to have that as my, like almost like a cars and bids, if you will, but for, doing wrenching and modification. But that never materialized because other stuff got in the way. So I think I lapsed on the hosting, and then they were like, oh, we're deleting your site. And I'm like, okay.
Okay. Well, I have 1.8 million subscribers on YouTube. Yeah, no, just like a nice wide shot of your shop full of stuff should do it.
Yeah, it'll be good. I mean, it also, the Aston Martin looks nice. It's a good looking car. Yeah. So who knows? I mean,
it's a classic vehicle, no doubt, but I don't think that says Tavarish anymore to me.
But I no longer own this car, so yes, that is very true.
Also that. Yes. Car Trek season 1, 2, and 3 are on your channel right now. Can be viewed.
That is true. We are filming the fourth one, hopefully in the next 2-3 weeks, if the weather allows. I'm actually going to be on a call with Ed and Tyler in about half an hour from now to talk about what the details are with that, and that's still up in the air, but it should be a lot of fun. It's going to be like a big epic road trip, like a 1,000-mile road trip.
Nice. Sounds like a good time.
Are you guys doing Sorted again? Do you know what's going on with that?
in order to maintain my sanity, am on the sidelines until someone says, Matt, it is your turn to do this thing and then to do this thing. And I'm making handy motions and talking motions. That's what I'm doing for radio people. I'm too mentally busy right now to think about production very much. So when it is time for me to participate in the tuner car shootout that is called Sorted, then I will participate happily. But until then, I have a show in the meantime on Haggerty's channel coming out in April called Modified, which is pretty much a reprise of my old show Tuned on the Drive Network, but with more money. Not necessarily for me, more money for production, fully closed roads, and some really amazing cars. I'm really excited.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great.
So that's coming on Haggerty's channel very soon. I'm excited to see your McLaren reassembled and driving. I'm very excited for you that you are going to have your proper dream car.
Thank you so much. I think I'm also excited, but it's one of those like excited and also very, very scared because so many things could go wrong and it's like a ton of money. It's more money than I've ever spent. So, fingers crossed on everything. And if it blows up, you'll see it.
There aren't really any more like unknowns, right? You already have determined all the things that are broken. Zach,
sure, but
Zach just put a lower third that said Tamarisk. What the fuck was that? Autocorrect? Sorry.
Probably.
Sorry. No, have you determined everything that's broken?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You never know what's broken until you like drive it hard. So I've done a few launch controls. The maximum in this car with no body work, by the way, was like 70 miles an hour, which is like faster than you want to go. Yeah. But everything seems fine. But it is a McLaren we're talking about here, so anything could happen. I'm trying to just make sure that nothing is like obviously wrong. Like it's not going to catch on fire or whatever from my doing.
Yeah, I think you got to put a helmet on, some goggles, go out to Cletus's place, and just try to run like a drift lap out there.
Yeah, we were actually thinking about that. Yeah. So that's one of the ideas that we have for the Bricklin that I'm getting. So it would be really cool if we did like a burnout with the gull wing doors up and, we do like donuts and I think that'd be kind of cool.
I don't think the V8 in that has enough power to do a burnout. I think it's like 140 horsepower V8. It's like
listen. It's 100. PSI. It is 175. Okay, it's 175, and it's more than you need. It has like 200 something foot-pounds of torque. Okay, so don't poo-poo that engine. It is a whole 351 cubic inches.
I mean, I guess when your tires are like 40 years old, you don't need a lot of power.
It's all about the tires. It's all about the tires.
Freddy, good talking to you, brother. I wish you the best of fortunes finishing your project.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
And next time you have a new season to promote, come back and we'll do it again. And when you're ready for me to go pick up your Lamborghini at the Peterson, I'm happy to go grab it for you.
Sure. We got to do this live when we don't have internet connection issues. Maybe I get 2 gigabit internet next time. I don't know.
Or if you come to Los Angeles, if we do we'll do the things. We'll have Larry Webster send us the 10-minute COVID. Oh, you had it. You're good. You're fucking good. I'm good. I'm glad I hope your residual COVID gets better.
Oh yeah, I feel invincible. You just go up and kiss everybody.
Yeah, right. I mean, I kind of wish I got it in like February of last year.
Tom Segura's Instagram post after he got COVID and recovered. He says, "How you going to the weekend when you know you got the antibodies?"
That's hilarious. The Real Tavarish on Instagram. And it's just Tavarish on. It's not the Real Tavarish on YouTube. It's just Tavarish.
It's just Tavarish.
Yeah, just Tavarish on YouTube, but the Real Tavarish on Instagram. Freddy, thank you. Good to see you, sir. Take care. Drive your S65.
Thank you so much.
In good health.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's our show. Good night, everybody. We appreciate it. Shout out to our watch sponsor, Braemont. They just sent me the new Martin Baker MB2, which I'm going to be checking out for the next few weeks. And that is all I have for the time being. Have a good weekend.
Bye.